The afternoon sun cast golden streaks across the park, bathing the playground in a warm glow. Maya Daniels sat on the swing, scrolling through her phone, the rhythmic creak of the chains filling the silence. She had just finished basketball practice and was waiting for her friends to show up. The air smelled of freshly cut grass and the distant scent of grilled burgers from a nearby cookout. It was the kind of peaceful afternoon that made her love living in this neighborhood. That was until she noticed her. A middle-aged white woman stood near the parking lot, arms crossed, eyes locked onto Maya like she was a stray dog who had wandered onto private property. Her pale blue blouse was neatly tucked into a pair of beige khakis, and she clutched her phone like it was a lifeline. Maya had seen that look before. The kind that made her stomach twist into knots. The kind that meant trouble. At first, she tried to ignore it. Maybe the woman was just waiting for someone. Maybe she wasn't staring at her. But when Maya glanced up again, the woman was still there, still watching. Maya sighed. She didn't feel like dealing with this today. "Can I help you?" she asked, keeping her voice calm but firm. The woman pursed her lips, taking a slow step forward. "Are you lost?" Maya frowned. "Lost?" The question threw her for a second. "No, I live here." The woman's expression didn't change. If anything, she looked more suspicious. "I've never seen you around before." Maya tightened her grip on the swing's chain. "I don't know what to tell you. I've lived here since I was 8. This is my neighborhood." The woman's eyes narrowed as if Maya had said something offensive. "Are your parents around?" Maya inhaled sharply, fighting the urge to roll her eyes. "I don't need my parents to be at a public park." The woman shifted her weight, glancing around as if searching for confirmation that she was in the right for asking these questions. "You're awfully young to be out here alone." "I'm 12, Maya said flatly. "That's old enough to sit on a swing without supervision." The woman's jaw tightened. "There's been trouble in this neighborhood lately. Kids hanging around where they don't belong." Maya's patience was running thin. "And by kids, you mean me?" The woman didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out her phone. Maya's heart kicked up a beat. She knew exactly what was happening. "Well," the woman muttered as she tapped on her screen, "I think I better call the police, just to be safe." Maya felt her face heat up, not with embarrassment, but with frustration. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened to her or someone she knew. She had heard the stories, seen the viral videos. Black kids being questioned for existing in spaces where white people thought they didn't belong. She had always wondered how she would react if it happened to her. Now she knew. She pulled out her own phone and hit speed dial. "Mom," she said as soon as the line connected, "you need to get here. Now." Maya sat on the swing, gripping her phone tightly as the woman spoke to 911 in a hushed but firm tone. She couldn't hear everything, but she caught enough. "Yes, I'd like to report a suspicious individual, young, black, loitering at the park." Maya clenched her jaw. Loitering? She wasn't doing anything but sitting on a swing, waiting for her friends. How was that suspicious? But she already knew the answer. It wasn't about what she was doing, it was about who she was. She tried to keep her breathing steady, but her fingers curled around the phone. Her mother had told her what to do in situations like this. Stay calm. Don't argue. Call her if anything happens. So that's what she did. And now, all she could do was wait. 5 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled up, its lights flashing but siren off. 2 officers stepped out, both white, both wearing standard blue uniforms with badges that caught the sunlight. Maya's stomach twisted. One of the officers adjusted his belt as he approached, looking from Maya to the woman. "Ma'am, what seems to be the issue?" The woman let out an exaggerated sigh of relief, as if she had just been saved from imminent danger. "Thank goodness you're here. I don't know this girl, and I've never seen her around before. I asked where her parents were, and she got an attitude with me." Maya's eyebrows shot up. "Attitude? So now, answering questions counted as an attitude?" She wanted to argue, but she knew better. The officer turned to Maya. "Miss, can we see some ID?" Maya stared at him. "I'm 12. The other officer stepped in, his tone slightly softer. "Do you live around here?" Maya exhaled slowly, forcing herself to keep her voice level. "I already told her I do." The first officer glanced back at the woman. "Did she threaten you?" The woman hesitated. She had probably expected them to grab Maya without question, but now she had to justify why she had even called. "Well, no, but she was disrespectful," she said finally. Maya almost laughed. So now being disrespectful was enough to warrant a police call? The officers exchanged a glance, and Maya could tell they were beginning to realize this was a waste of their time. But before they could decide how to handle it, another car screeched to a stop beside them. Maya's heart lifted. The car door opened, and a tall black woman stepped out, her high heels clicking against the pavement. Her navy blue suit was sharp, perfectly pressed, and the badge clipped to her belt gleamed in the sunlight. Her expression was unreadable, but Maya knew that look. Calm on the outside, fire on the inside. The moment the officers saw her, their backs straightened. Their casual authority vanished, replaced by something closer to respect, or maybe fear. And the woman who had called the cops, she went pale. Because standing in front of them wasn't just any angry mother. It was FBI Chief Olivia Daniels, and she was not happy. Silence fell over the park. Even the distant laughter of children playing on the jungle gym seemed to fade into the background. The officers, who had looked so sure of themselves moments ago, suddenly seemed uneasy. The woman who had called them took an instinctive step back, her mouth slightly open as if realizing too late the mistake she had made. Olivia Daniels didn't rush. She took slow, deliberate steps toward them, her gaze cool and unreadable. There was a certain power in the way she carried herself, calm, controlled, yet undeniably commanding. Maya had seen it before, usually when her mother was dealing with high-profile cases, but never directed at someone because of her. "Is there a problem here?" Olivia's voice was even, but there was an edge to it, a quiet authority that made everyone stiffen. One of the officers cleared his throat. "Ah, Chief Daniels." She raised a hand, cutting him off without looking at him. "I'm asking her." The woman's face was turning an interesting shade of red. She opened and closed her mouth like she was struggling to find the right words. Finally, she stammered. I just thought, well, I didn't recognize her, and she was sitting there alone, and I—" "You thought what, exactly?" Olivia pressed, taking another step closer. "That a child sitting in a public park was a threat?" The woman flinched. "I wasn't sure if she belonged here." Maya folded her arms. "Belonged?" she echoed. Olivia's eyes narrowed. "Would you have called the police if she were white?" The woman's lips parted, but no words came out. That was answer enough. One of the officers, the younger one, finally found his voice. "Chief, we were just responding to a call." "Good," Olivia said, turning her sharp gaze on him. "Then let's talk about that call, shall we? About why 2 uniformed officers are standing in a public park questioning a 12-year-old girl for sitting on a swing." Neither officer spoke. Maya felt a rush of satisfaction. She had seen plenty of these situations go differently, where the police automatically took the side of the white accuser, no questions asked. But her mother wasn't just another concerned parent. She was a federal officer, the highest-ranking FBI official in the region. She wasn't about to let this slide. The woman squared her shoulders as if trying to regain control of the situation. "I was just trying to keep the neighborhood safe," she muttered defensively. Olivia tilted her head slightly, as if considering her words. Then she asked, "Safe from what?" The woman blinked. "A 12-year-old girl?" Olivia continued. "Sitting on a swing, minding her business?" The woman's face burned. "I didn't mean you did mean," Olivia cut in, her voice quiet but firm. "And what you meant is that you saw a black child in a space you think only belongs to you. That's why we're standing here right now." Maya saw the woman's fingers tighten around her phone like she wished she could undo the call, but it was too late for that. She had wanted the authorities to handle the suspicious black child. Now she was standing face to face with a black woman who was the authority, and she had nothing left to say. The woman's face twisted, a mix of embarrassment, anger, and something else, something Maya recognized immediately. Fear. Not fear of harm, not fear of actual danger, but fear of being called out, fear of consequences. She took a small step back, looking to the officers for help, but they weren't coming to her rescue. They stood stiffly, their eyes flicking between her and Olivia, as if unsure of how to proceed. They had responded to a call, assuming it was just another routine situation, another case of a concerned citizen reporting something they found suspicious. But now they were realizing they had stepped into something much bigger. I didn't mean for this to be a big deal, the woman stammered. I was just being cautious. Olivia arched a brow, crossing her arms over her chest. Cautious? About what? The woman hesitated. You can't be too careful these days. There have been reports of teenagers causing trouble around here. I was just... She's 12, Olivia cut in sharply. Not a teenager, not a troublemaker. She was sitting on a swing in a public park, and you called the police on her. The woman's face turned an even deeper shade of red. I thought she might be up to something. How was I supposed to know? Olivia shook her head slowly, her expression unreadable. Did you ask her? The woman hesitated. Did you take a moment to actually talk to her? Olivia continued. Or did you just see a black child and decide she didn't belong? I was just trying to look out for the neighborhood, the woman muttered, her voice defensive. Really? Olivia tilted her head. Because it seems to me like you weren't looking out for the whole neighborhood, just the parts of it that look like you. The woman flinched. One of the officers cleared his throat, shifting awkwardly. Chief, if there's nothing criminal here. There was never anything criminal here, Olivia snapped, turning to face them. And yet you came out here, fully prepared to question my daughter, to demand her ID, to treat her like a suspect, because of one phone call from a woman who assumed she didn't belong. Neither officer spoke. Maya watched the entire exchange, her heart pounding. She had never seen her mother like this, not at home, not even at work. This wasn't just about her. It was about something bigger, something deeper. The woman seemed to realize she had lost control of the situation. Look, she said, raising her hand slightly. I didn't mean to offend anyone. You didn't offend anyone, Olivia interrupted. You endangered my daughter. The woman's eyes widened. My child, Olivia said, her voice calm but edged with steel, had to call me because she was afraid of what might happen when the police showed up. Do you understand how serious that is? Do you understand that for black children, a police encounter isn't just an inconvenience, it can be life or death? The woman's mouth opened, but no words came out. Olivia let the silence stretch between them before she finally spoke again. You should think long and hard before you make another phone call like this. Because next time, you might not just be embarrassed, you might be responsible for something far worse. The woman looked down, her hands twisting in front of her. She had no comeback, no defense left. One of the officers, clearly eager to escape the situation, gave Olivia a quick nod. Chief, we'll clear the call. Sorry for the, misunderstanding. That's not good enough, Olivia said. The officer blinked. Ma'am? You need to ask yourselves why you responded the way you did, Olivia continued. Why you immediately treated my daughter like a suspect. Why you were ready to question her, demand her ID, instead of questioning why this call was even made in the first place. The younger officer looked down, shifting uncomfortably. The older one nodded stiffly. Understood, Chief. Good, Olivia said. With that, she turned to Maya and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Let's go. Maya stood, still processing everything that had just happened. She had gone from being treated like a criminal to watching her mother dismantle years of ingrained bias in a matter of minutes. It was overwhelming. As they walked toward their car, Maya glanced back. The woman was still standing there, looking shaken. The officers were walking toward their cruiser, speaking quietly to each other. And the park? It had gone back to normal. Kids were still playing. People were still laughing. The world kept turning. But something had changed. As they reached the car, Maya finally spoke. Mom, that was kind of amazing. Olivia sighed, rubbing her temple. It shouldn't have to be. Maya nodded, understanding what she meant. Her mother hadn't wanted to give that speech. She hadn't wanted to have to defend her child's right to sit in a park without suspicion, but she had to, and that was the real problem. As Olivia started the car, Maya looked out the window, her mind racing. She knew this wouldn't be the last time she had to deal with something like this. She knew there would be other people like that woman, people who would see her and assume the worst just because of the color of her skin. But now, she also knew something else. She knew she wasn't alone. She knew her voice mattered. And she knew that next time, she wouldn't just sit and wait for someone else to defend her. She would be ready to defend herself.